I must thank Mr. Jain for organizing this webinar. And I'm also very glad to know that FII is a apex body to take care of representing the MSME sector. As a matter of fact, this sector needs or lacks proper representation with the government lobby. Coming to the subject, if we divide this whole thing into three parts, what is there yesterday, what's today, and what will be tomorrow. See, 100 years is not a big time if you look at the scale of humanity, but yes, it's a big time in the current history. Uh, Spanish flu of 1918. Uh, how many people do recall that what happened those times? What happened those days when the communication were very limited, medical facilities were very uh, backward. Uh, what mistakes we did then and what could be avoided is what are the number of actual deaths those days, and do we just simply compare the number of deaths then and now, or do we take that how a humanity uh, is on its knee in just 3 months all over the globe, how vulnerable we are. That indication was given in Spanish flu in 1918. But unfortunately, I find that most of the people have simply forgotten it, and simply you rarely find a comparison between them. But it's a fact that these things will keep coming, and how well prepared we are, and how well we learn from our past experience. Looking at the Indian experience, we realize many things today. One of them is that regional imbalance of growth within the country, that eastern part laborers have migrated to the other parts of the country where more jobs were created and the laborers were required, whether it is a Western India or Southern India, or to some extent even the Northern India. But the fact remains that there was the imbalance. And now we are realizing all of a sudden, though if the problem was there, our great Prime Minister was talking about it, look East policy. He was aware that you cannot ignore one part of the country. But this is the lesson, practical things what we are seeing today, the pathetic scenes of thousands and lakhs walking on the road to come back to their home. That is something which the world should take note of and learn out of it. See, poverty is opposed to social distancing. Uh, we have found a remedy that, okay, if there is a social distancing, but how can a poor people who live in a room, if the entire family lives in a room, can do the social distancing? So it's not that they don't want to do it, it is the poverty which prevents them. Poverty is anti-lockdown. We say lockdown is a good thing. Yes, it is a good thing, but poverty is coming in between. This is what we are seeing today. Poverty makes people to take risk. They are willing to go out because the hunger forces them to take risks and get out of it. And these are also a time when we realize that there are millions of people who live on day-to-day earning and they don't have any saving. Very rightly, this government has first addressed the issue and the relief package targeting the weakest and the poorest, because if they would not have done it, if they would be hungry, believe me, there would be riots on the streets. But that is what we have prevented, and that's a very big thing. Now when we are, and at the same time, let me also mention here that when we are thinking of rebuilding the economy, the first focus has gone to those street vendors who have hardly 5,000, 10,000 rupees as a working capital, which they must have exhausted and eaten away to survive these last 2 months. And now they must be under debt. The first attention has been paid to them, that how they can get some banking support so that they can get the money and start their business and be there on feet. They have the capacity, tenacity to be on their feet. They can do it. but they needed such support, and very rightly, the Indian government has decided to extend them this kind of support. We also have witnessed another phenomena, which is a lesson to the world, that the government, our government, and our resources, be it state government or central government, has a limited resources, and this need of helping the people, millions of people all over the place, was sudden. There was no time to prepare yourself for that. But then the sticking to and relying on, we can say, when we can be very proud that it has been our tradition. The society takes care of the needy by itself without coercing. No law is required. There is no law when the lakhs of people, millions of people have been given hot food or dry ration, dry food, everything, and with no obligation, no name. The NGOs, there are, see, some people, particularly in Western country, laugh at or make mockery of right-wing, they say it is a right-wing organization like RSS. But even our most strongest critic of RSS among the journalists, Barkha Dutt, other day, she was praising them because the RSS volunteers were the only volunteers who were working in Dharavi, the biggest slum of the Asia. So this is what is the preventive. Now, another thing which we have witnessed and we can be proud of, that the people speaking different languages, irrespective of religion, irrespective of their food habit, they were helped by everybody in every part of the country in so many ways. Despite people suffered, despite millions have been moved within a week or 10 days from one part of the country to the other part, and this process is on. And this is a learning experience to all of us, and the whole world, I would say, for that matter. Coming to tomorrow, very rightly, this government, under the leadership of Modi ji, did not decide to just surrender and accept what it is coming. Rather, this is the time, they said that this is time to awaken up, rise up to the occasion, and be prepared for the future. And now, what we are saying, will be self-reliant in practically everything. We will have more confidence in our technologists, our scientists, and will be, I think other speakers were talking about the medicine. Yes, it's true that not only medicine, and very rightly, Dr. Jain mentioned about a global cooperation into research on biological matters. It's true, and India can offer a lot of infrastructure through manpower, through physical infrastructure and whatnot. This is what is going to happen. And we are prepared and we are aiming to become factory of the world. They say that India is already the office of the world. Now we want to be factory of the world also. We want to be education hub of the world. We want to be health institute, built up world-class health institutes. We can also, like New Zealand, like Great Britain, they need people to take care of their old citizen. Now, India has a very, very strong paramedics. Language may be the barrier, but which is very easy to crack. Now, they can be used by the world for their elderly population. We have a 65% of the people are below 35. That's the kind of population situation in this country. Now there will be, particularly from Britain, I feel that we are part of the Commonwealth countries. You have ruled us for centuries. Now, I feel the time has come when you focus on us. You give us a different look, your own country, which is trying to rise. New Zealand is already a rich country, which already have a good Indian population, and also I think a lot of students. I was surprised that we have about 22,000 students studying in New Zealand. I myself was there, and I can say yes, it's a beautiful country. And I can say that they don't have to talk about social distancing. The number of people are so less that already there are automatically there is a lot of distance between the people. But yes, the potential and the love for New Zealand as a tourist destination shows that now last year I think there was 65,000 people visited New Zealand. These are the areas we can grow, and I think some other speakers will also throw some light on that. But overall, I can say that, or I conclude by saying that the USA says that it never stops. It may be true, but we can say that we stopped. We went for a lockdown, and we are proud of it. We have saved the world out of it. Thank you.